Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Planning Advisory Committee meeting for the town of Quispamsis for Tuesday, September 13th. That being said, could I have approval of the agenda, please?
So
Brent?
moved.
Seconder, Mark? To the minutes or the approval agenda? None. Can we have a vote on that? Motion carried by a vote of 4-0. Move on to item number 3, disclosures of interest. None being, we'll move on to item 4, approval of previous minutes. Can I have a motion to approve previous minutes, please? Mr. Bishop?
So moved.
Can I have a seconder on that? Kendall, second that. Thank you. Can we have any adjustment to the minutes? None being, have a vote, please? Motion carried. With that, we'll move on to item 5, the business arising from previous minutes. Can I have a motion to receive and file, please?
So moved.
Brent?
So
Okay,
moved.
thanks, Brent. Seconder on that? Kendall? Thank you. Can we have a vote on that, please? Motion carried unanimously. With that, we'll move on to item 6, unfinished business. No unfinished business. We'll move on to item 7, the new business. Move on to item 7A. Hang on here, get this set up. There we are. 5 Firefly Crescent, accessory buildings. Jennifer, can you introduce that item, please?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, thank you. Before the committee is a decision regarding accessory building at 5 Firefly in support of a new recreation facility, a splash pad that is going to be placed at 5 Firefly. The land is zoned as Parks and Recreation, has a lot area of 4,378 square meters. It's currently home to a playground. The plan is to develop the site with a splash pad. The splash pad itself is 226 square meters. It will also include a supportive accessory building, which would house 2 washrooms and the mechanic room and a janitor closet. 2 concrete benches will also be added, several trees and shrubs to improve the landscaping and provide screening. Section 23B1A of zoning bylaw number 38 states that an accessory building is a discretionary use in the Parks and Recreation zoning. Therefore, a review and approval by the PAC for this building is required. The proposed accessory building will host, as I said before, 2 independent family washrooms and the mechanical room and a janitor room. The municipal development plan supports this. There are 4 policies in the staff report that refer to recreation development and how it's supported by council. The splash pad is proposed currently to be open from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m., 7 days a week from Victoria Day till Labor Day. As this is a town-initiated project, there's no requirement for a development agreement. We did receive 6 correspondences with concerns, and there were a variety of concerns. Most were involving traffic and parking. Some were about drainage, lighting, landscape, and reduced property values. There were also concerns regarding the amount of money that was being expended as part of this project. And the overall splash pad project was approved by council on July 19th, 2022. The decision before PAC is regarding the approval of the discretionary use, which is an accessory building that is proposed to support the already approved recreation facility. Drainage concerns have been forwarded on to the engineering department, and the design of the splash pad, just so everyone's aware, has been designed in such a way that the water is recycled. It goes through a filtration system, etc. There's a cistern that holds water and it draws. So it's not a constant draw of water being placed on a well from that location. And yeah, that's what I have for you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Lawrence, you want to come up to the podium? I neglected to bring you up. Maybe anything you want to add to what Jennifer had talked about, or talk about any of the concerns before we have any questions from PAC or members of the audience?
No, I have nothing to add, Mr. Chairman. The information's there. Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any members of PAC want to ask the town any questions? Okay, none being, is there anyone in the audience who's willing to speak for or against this item? Could you please, Mr. Lawrence, could you please step down? Could you please come up and state your name for the record, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Brent Quinn. I'm a resident of Quispamsis at 94 Lake Road, directly across the park from this proposed splash pad and maintenance washroom building, whatever you want to call it. I have opposed this project from the beginning, when I say the beginning was when I first heard about it, which was 1 week after the well was drilled. So my first opposition was, why wasn't the residents notified? Surely there must be a bylaw to notify residents when a project is being proposed and will directly affect their neighborhood. Secondly, my opposition was the cost of this project, which has been raised by not me, but others as well. I understand that the vote to accept this project was not unanimous, that at least one councillor saw the light of day, and I believe her name was Councillor Luck, that she thought this was an egregious waste of money. Surely there's $1 million that can be better spent in the town of Quispamsis. I can think of a dozen. I did write a letter after I was informed that I was able to voice my opinion. And I do believe I addressed it to Violet Brown, who was the PAC secretary. I'm not sure if she's here tonight. Oh, I'm sorry, you're Violet, I'm sorry. I hadn't met you before.
All correspondences were part of the PAC package and on the website as well.
Okay, and in that, if I may just read the letter so I will get my facts straight. I've received your letter re above proposed project. I'm responding to voice my total objection to this project. First and foremost, I object to the amount of money being spent on the project. I understand it's a joint effort between federal, provincial, and town governments, but to spend near $1 million on the splash pad is not only ridiculous, but a complete misuse of taxpayers' dollars, in my opinion. And I'm only a taxpayer, right? Surely during these economic times, this money could have been better spent for the good of the people of Quispamsis. And as I mentioned, I can think of a dozen projects that would better serve our community. Secondly, the location you chose is wrong for many reasons. I believe if there had been any thought put into this, or perhaps consultation with the residents it's going to directly affect before the well was drilled, another more suitable solution could have been found. This park is used by many, from seniors to daycare children, walking and jogging groups and dog walkers. Mothers can walk around the park pushing strollers. Children ride their bikes and scooters without fear of traffic because of the quiet location the park affords them. This will be all gone with the influx of traffic the splash pad will generate. If you build it, They will come. Thirdly, how will this affect property values, especially those adjacent to the proposed project? Certainly taxes will go up, but our fear is that values will drop. It will certainly eliminate the number of people looking to purchase our homes. That market will be cut considerably less. Personally, I feel no serious consideration was put into the planning of this project, and certainly no concerns of the residents were considered until after the fact. It appears to me that all this is a notch in someone's belt, a resume builder, if you like, not in the least the best interests of residents. And I closed the letter with saying that I was looking forward to attending this meeting. I appreciate your time. I'm very upset about this, as you can tell. And I just hope that cooler heads will take a very strong look at this project and reconsider how you're changing our neighborhood. It's not just open land that the town can do what they will. It's our neighborhood. It's our home. And you're changing it, and you're changing it forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Is there anyone else in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone else in the audience, third and last time, final time, willing to speak for or against this item? None being, Mr. Lawrence, come back up to the podium. And to address Mr. Quinn, Mr. Quinn, what's before us at PAC is not the approval of the park. It's the approval, that's pre-done, it's the approval of the accessory buildings on the park, on that piece of property. Yeah, but the project's already been approved, that's all I'm saying right now, that's all. So, and I think that's why Mr. Lawrence is here.
My objection was that we weren't given the
Point of order, please.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, well, it's all right, we'll address that, and I'll address that through Jennifer.
Speak, he has to come back up to the podium, so
Yeah.
I can hear and take notes.
Okay. Mr. Lawrence, anything you want to say or address to Mr. Quinn about any of the comments that he's made in his letter?
No, we've talked with Mr. Quinn personally and some of the other residents in the community, and we're trying to address and work with the residents in that area, and we just look forward to moving ahead with this project for the community as a whole. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Mr. Lawrence, stay at the podium there, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's okay.
Any, Jennifer, anything you want to add to it or no, or we're good?
I think we've
Addressed?
addressed.
Okay, perfect. Would any member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions, please? Would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Brent?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the following motion. The Planning Advisory Committee approve the discretionary use an accessory building to provide public washrooms and mechanical janitorial support as a discretionary use as per section 23B1A of zoning bylaw number 038 at 5 Firefly Crescent, PID 002-51900. Subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, a building permit is obtained prior to construction. 2, the Community Service Department in collaboration with the Engineering Department draft a mitigation plan to address any traffic concerns that may arise, which may include the designation of parking in areas that drop off and barrier-free traffic calming measures, etc. And 3, residents wishing to participate in the selection of the reasonable screening measures to mitigate any visible impacts from the development be formally notified at meeting time as scheduled by the Community Service Department and be given an opportunity to be involved in the selection process.
Thank you, Brent. Can I have a seconder on that? Kendall, you second that? Thank you. Is there any debate on that motion? None being, can we take a vote, please? The motion was passed unanimously by a vote of 4-0. Mr. Lawrence, please work with the town, the neighbors, see if you can mitigate any of those traffic calming measures, any of those concerns with the covering of it, and hopefully at the end of the day, everyone's happy or somewhat satisfied about that location of that splash pad. So, in 5 to 7 business days, you have a letter in the mail, and you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the PAC committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Move on to item 7B. For an application requesting permission to erect a fence such that is 1.8 meters in height in front yard located at 5 Sycamore Drive, PID 300181139. Could the applicant please come up, state their name for the record, please?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Terry Roach. I'm the owner of 4 Sycamore Drive. It's actually 4 Sycamore.
Okay,
My wife Cheryl's with me as well.
okay, perfect. We're gonna have Jennifer introduce that item, then we'll see if there may be some questions for you.
Sure, certainly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is looking to erect a fence such that it is 1.8 meters in height in the front yard, and Section 6S2 of the zoning bylaw requires any fence found in a front yard not to exceed 0.75 meters. The applicant are seeking a 1.05 meter variance to this section. The fence is being requested to provide privacy between the landowners at 4 Sycamore and 1 Leasewood Drive. The proposed fence is to be constructed of a solid white wooden tongue and groove picket design that is to be installed by a professional fencing company. The length of the proposed fence is 9.75 meters. It will be set back 2.8 meters from the road and will have a clearance of 0.6 meters from the property line. Notices were sent to to neighboring properties within 50 meters, and we did receive one letter indicating support of the project. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. You would receive the same package we did in the mail. Is there anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of the PAC or the public asking you questions?
By the town staff, and I just want to make a correction. It's a PVC fence, not wooden, just so you know. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Goslin?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Jennifer, did the town address any of the concern that Mr. Roach has about the neighbors having more than one piece of equipment? What kind of permit did he get approval from the town in order to operate his business? Normally, it's only one vehicle and on, and Mr. Roach mentioned in his letter that there are chippers and other stuff going on in that property.
Sawmill.
Question,
There's a sawmill there
okay,
too.
my question is, did the town look at the property and look at the adjacent property to Mr. Roach and see if anything can be done in order to minimize the impact on Mr. Roach's property before he spend money building a fence?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, staff has sent a letter to number 1 Leasewood, bringing these concerns forward to the landowner. It was brought to our attention on Friday that the sawmill was again being used, and I have had discussions with the municipal planning officer, and we are taking further steps.
Question?
Just-
Sort of point of order, this
Yeah.
is what we're on, the application is about tonight.
Yeah, the application's about the height of the fence, right? Yeah.
Sorry.
Any other questions for the applicant? None being, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time. Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions, please? Kendall?
I'll put a motion forward. I recommend the planning advisory committee approve the 1.05-meter variance to section 6S2 of the town's zoning bylaw number 038 to allow a fence height in the front yard of 1.8 meters in height at Sycamore Avenue, PID 300181129. Should be subject to the following terms and conditions. Number one, lot lines are clearly delineated prior to construction. If the property pins are not identifiable, professional surveyor licensed by the province of New Brunswick should be hired to locate and mark the property lines. Number two, a building permit is obtained prior to any construction.
Thank you, Kendall. Can I have a seconder on that? Mr. Bishop?
I'll second that.
Any debate on that motion? None being, could you please have a vote? Motion carried by a vote unanimously by a vote of 4-0. Mr. Roach, you'll have your letter in the mail in the next 4 to 5 or 5 to 7 business days. Please work with the town and have all necessary documentation in place, and maybe something will work out otherwise with the neighbor.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Mr.
You're welcome. We'll move on to item 7C, 30, an applicant requesting to erect a fence such as 1.5 meters in height in front yard located at 36 Sheraton Avenue, PID 303-48718. Could the applicant please come up to the podium? State their name for the record prior to Jennifer introducing the item.
Hi, I'm Cindy Millett.
I'm Zen Hugh.
Okay, Jennifer, can you introduce that item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicants just recently built the house at 36 Sheraton, and they're looking to place a fence along the Maddie Road, I guess, side of their property. Their lot is a corner lot, so therefore they're considered to have two frontages, or front yards, if you will, by from a planning perspective. Therefore, they're requesting, they're seeking a 0.75 meter variance to section 6S2 to allow the fence height of 1.5 meters to be located in their front yard. That is abutting Maddie. The front of your home, though, does look out over Sheraton, correct? Right, okay. The fence is proposed to be constructed of black chain link and installed by a professional company. There is a 5-meter wide public utility that is found at along the southern lot line abutting Maddie Lane. The applicants did seek permission from NB Power to erect the fence. A letter of permission was provided by NB Power, along with a list of reasonable terms and conditions. We did send a notification around to neighboring properties within 50 meters. No concerns have been received, and staff have no concerns. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. You folks would have received the same package we did in the mail. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to questions from PAC or members of the public?
No, it just was a learning experience, I guess. Didn't realize you have two front yards, but
Yeah.
when you're on a corner lot, I guess you have two front yards.
There's no door on that side, so not really a front yard.
Formality, eh?
Yeah.
Yes. So.
All right, thank you. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? None being, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mark?
Mr. Chairman, motion for the planning advisory committee approve a 0.75 meter variance to section 6S2 of the town zoning bylaw number 038 to allow a fence height in the front yard of 1.5 meters in height at 36 Sheraton Avenue, PID number 303488718. It should be subject to the following terms and conditions. Lot lines are clearly delineated prior to the construction. If the property pins are not identifiable, a professional surveyor licensed by the province of New Brunswick should be hired to locate and mark the property line. Number two, the landowner must adhere to the term and condition outlined in the letter of permission to erect a fence within the public utility easement. And number three, a building permit is obtained prior to the construction.
Thank you, Mark. Can I have a seconder for that? Kendall? Thank you. Any debate on that motion? None being, could we have a vote, please? Motion carried unanimously by a vote of 4-0. 5 to 7 business days, you'll have a letter in the mail with your approval. Please work with the town to have all necessary documentation and paperwork in place. Yes.
Yeah, I'll notify the building inspector tomorrow that this was approved, and we should get it within a day or so of that. Okay. If you don't hear from somebody by tomorrow, give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. We'll move on to item 7D, 6 Lehman Drive, an application requesting approval to construct an accessory building of 35.8 square meters, 16 by 24 on the property of 6 Lyman Drive, PID 00109678. Could the applicant, please state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Natalie Gaddis.
Natalie?
Yes.
Gask?
Gaddis.
Gaddis, okay. Natalie, we'll have Jennifer introduce that item, then we'll get back to you.
Perfect.
Well, do you have something, Brad, first?
Nope.
Okay, Jennifer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are looking for 2 variances with this application. The first is no accessory building should exceed 23 square meters. We'll need a variance from that. And a variance, again, because this is a corner lot, we have 2 front yards. So we'll be looking for a setback along the abutting Russell. So, and I also want to note that the notification letters that were sent out to neighboring properties within the 50 meters of the proposed development were issued without mentioning the request for the 4.5 meter front yard setback from Russell Drive. This was an oversight on the part of staff. The PAC may wish to proceed with the application as presented, or if they are of the opinion that sufficient notice was not provided, the request could be tabled until such time as sufficient notification could be provided. So I will leave that to the PAC to decide if they would want to table this item because of that, or if they wanted to go forward.
Thank you, Jennifer. Violet?
I'd just like to note that the notice that did go out to the residents within 50 meters did include a site plan, and the site plan actually showed that it was 3 meters from Russell, because it was after the fact that we went out with a student on site and made some more distinct measurements. But it did indicate 3 meters setback from Russell, okay?
Okay, thank you, Violet, for that update. Jennifer?
So I will proceed with my staff report. There's also been a little back and forth with the applicant and NB Power. She was notified that she had to be a certain distance from the wires that go overhead of the property. However, I think that has been satisfied at this point. So we can move on. The lot is located in R1 zone and it has 1,197 square meters. The proposal is to construct a 4.9 by 7.3 meter accessory building, and that is for personal storage. The applicant is requesting to erect the accessory building on the subject lot that'll have a gross floor area of 35.8 square meters, so requiring a 12.8 square meter variance. And the street right-of-way, we have discussed that. And the public utility easement that's found at the back of your property, we have touched on that. With MB Power, there is a 3-meter wide utility easement at the back of the property that she has to make sure that they're not constructed inside. Notices were sent to properties within 50 meters at the time that we wrote this, and up until just before this meeting, no concerns had been received. The only note that I made was regarding the power lines during construction, just to be aware that they're there. And staff have no further concerns. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. You would receive the same package we did. Anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to some potential questions from PAC or the members of the public?
Since the student was over at the house, Jay, we found out from MB Power, because there's a line, a secondary line that goes from the pole to our house, we're not able to construct within 3 meters, no, not meters, sorry, 3 feet from either side of the line. So because of that, we're looking to move up the structure a little closer to the house than we had originally anticipated.
Jennifer, is that what we're here for?
Not at all. I was going to tell you, Mr. Chair, that we had a discussion prior to the meeting this evening. We went over the details, and it does not require any further variances. We would still require a variance setback from the road and for the size of the building, but nothing further.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Natalie? Anything you'd like? No? Any members of PAC like to ask the applicant any questions? None being, is there any member, anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Bishop.
I'll put a motion forward that PAC approve the 12.7 square meter variance zoning bylaw section 8G2C and approve the 4.5 meter variance to section 8E1A to allow for the construction of a 35.3 meter front yard setback along Russell Drive to allow for construction of an accessory building located at 6 Lyman Drive, PID 00109678, subject to the following terms and conditions. The side lot line is clearly defined prior to construction. The property pins are not identifiable. A professional surveyor licensed by the province of New Brunswick must be hired to locate and mark the property lines, and 2, a building permit is obtained prior to any construction.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Can I have a seconder on that? Mr. Mason? Any debate on that item? None. Oh, Brent, you got a question?
Mr. Chairman, based on the size of that accessory building, we should basically, they make reference to it also having a garage door on it. We should add our standard garage clauses, clad in National Building Code material. National Building Code can't be used for livestock, business, etc.
Thank you, Mr. Preston. We're okay with that, Mr. Bishop? Yep. Kendall, okay, can we have a vote on that, please? Motion carried unanimously. In 5 to 7 business days, you have a letter in the mail. Please work at the town to have all necessary paperwork and documentation in place, and best of luck with your garage.
PAC, have a good evening.
We'll move on to item 7E. Application requesting approval to construct a 72.46 square meter detached garage on property of 26 Vincent Road, PID 00244251 and PID 00090308. Could the applicant please come up to the podium, please? State your name for the record, please.
Paul Francis Boudreau.
Paul,
Francis Boudreau.
Paul Francis Boudreau. Okay, Mr. Boudreau. We're gonna have Jennifer introduce that item for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The approval is for a 72.46 square meter detached garage at 26 Vincent Road. We are actually looking for 4 variances. 3 are associated directly with the project, and 1 is a result of a recommended lot consolidation. The lot is located in R1 zone, and it is made up of 2 PIDs with a combined lot area of 1,301 square meters. The proposed development did begin without first obtaining proper permits. Upon notification by the building inspector or superintendent of the requirements, the applicant has the applicant has gone out of his way to accommodate our requests and has been in and filled out all necessary paperwork. Staff recommend that the lot be consolidated, those 2 PIDs be consolidated into 1 prior to the issuance of a building permit. This is a simple desktop exercise done at Service New Brunswick. And that will give the lot area that's required for the development. Once the lot consolidation is complete, there will be approximately a 21.4 meter lot frontage. The bylaw does require a 30 meter frontage, and so we'd be looking for an 8.6 meter variance to that lot frontage once the consolidation is complete. The height of the building is proposed to be 7.1 meters or 23.3 feet. Therefore, a 2.1 meter variance would be required to allow the project to proceed as presented. The detached garage is proposed to be located 2.2 meters from the main dwelling, whereas Section 8G1B III states that there must be a 3 meter separation. So we'd be looking at a 0.8 meter variance. And Section 8G2C restricts the gross floor area of a detached garage to 63 meters, and the footprint of this garage is 72.5 square meters. So a 9.5 square meter variance would be required. Letters were sent to neighboring properties within 50 meters. No concerns have been received. Staff's only concern at this time is that when we put on the predictive wet area mapping, which is a tool that we use to identify where water is going to collect pool during storm events, it does show this area is susceptible to some water. So with the addition of some impermeable surfaces, such as the roof and the garage, it was recommended that a site drainage plan be also submitted prior to the issuance of a building permit. And we have no further concerns at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Boudreau, you would receive the same package we did in the mail. Is there anything you'd like to discuss prior to questions or add prior to any questions from PAC or members of the public?
Well, in my defense, the reason I didn't have a permit is I hired a licensed contractor who on May 3rd told me I had one. I paid for it. I paid for $40,000 worth of building material out of my bank account, and he's gone. Now, I'm not the only one in the city who's fraudulent. I have my lawyer on it. But if I knew that this was going to come to this, I would have been here before I even got the tractor in there to knock the wall down, that dirt wall down. I was in anyway, that's why I'm here. And I'm not looking for, I guess I'm apologizing for my stupidity.
All right.
My naiveness, I guess.
Yeah, and you're okay with all the recommendations?
Oh,
yeah, okay,
absolutely.
Perfect. Any questions from members of the PAC to the applicant? None being, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, would a member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Preston.
Mr. Chairman, I will make the following motion. The Planning Advisory Committee approve a 9 decibel, 9.5 square meter variance to zoning bylaw section 8G2C and approval of 2 decimal 1, 2.1 meters variance to section 8G1A to allow for a building height of 7 decimal 1, 7.1 meters and to approve a 0 decimal 8, 0.8 meter variance to section 8G1B 3 to permit the detached garage to be 2 decimal 2, 2.2 meters from the main building and approve an 8 decimal 6, 8.6 meter variance to section 8C1 to permit a frontage of 21 decimal 4, 21.4 meters located at 26 Vincent Road, PID 002-44251 and PID 009-0308, subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, PID 002-44251 and PID 000-90308 to be consolidated prior to the issuance of a building permit. 2, a site drainage plan is submitted and accepted by the town prior to the issuance of a building permit. 3, all lot lines are clearly defined prior to construction. If the property pins are not identifiable, a professional surveyor licensed by the province of New Brunswick must be hired to locate and mark the property line. 4, a building permit is obtained prior to any construction. 5, the building is to be clad in material recognized by the current edition of the National Building Code. And 6, the building is not to be used for business, livestock, or occupation, I guess is our last, whatever it is. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Brent. Can I have a seconder on that? Mr. Bishop?
I'll second that.
Any debate on the motion? Kendall? No? No. Okay. Therefore, can we have a vote on that, please? Motion carried unanimously by a vote of 4-0 and 5 to 7 business days. I have a letter in the mail. Please work with the town, have all necessary paperwork, documentation, and best of luck. Hopefully, things work out for you in the end.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Item 7F has been deferred to the 27th meeting. Now we're going to move on to item 7G. Heritage Estates. Heritage Estates for public land for public purposes, subdivision plan lot 21. A. McKay Builders, PID 302-95703. Please state your name for the record. Andrew Toole. I'm going to have Jennifer introduce the item, then we'll move on.
Could I ask for clarification what file we're working on, Mr. Chair? I'm sorry. You said, is it this one? Okay, Heritage Estates, thank you. You said one was deferred and I got discombobulated. Sorry about that. Yes, this is Heritage Estates, lot 21. We are looking for 3 variances to allow this lot configuration. So we will require a 3.33 meter width variance, a 3.23 meter depth variance, and a 23 square meter lot area. 213, thank you so much, Chrissy. 213 square meter lot area variance. As PAC may recall, this has sort of been before for the acceptance of LPP. And what has happened was the area that was granted for LPP was realized that the slope was far too steep. It was 15 to 18 degrees, and so Community Services felt that that was too dangerous to have a walking trail because it's to bring pedestrians down to the QR trail. So what was designed was sort of a switchback. So it's not as direct to get down. You sort of meander down the lot so the slope isn't as dangerous. And that resulted in a reconfiguring, if you will, of this area. and some land was needed to be taken from Lot 21, and so it has been redrawn and now requires these variances to move forward. So I'm just going to read the concern that the municipal planning officer had, which is there are remaining deficiencies in phase 1 with an expired development agreement, and the deficiencies remain despite a further extension that also expired. The development agreement expired July 2019. The town granted the developer an extension until the end of September 2019. The deficiencies remain. These must be completed without further delay, and the town shall be undertaking the necessary steps to have the deficiencies completed as per the provisions of the development agreement. And then there are just recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Toole, you would have received the same package we did in the mail. Is there anything you'd like to add or discuss prior to members of the public or PAC asking a few questions?
No.
Okay, perfect. Any members of PAC have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Bishop.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Jennifer, I guess, how are we going to get the deficiencies taken care of? I guess, what's the process? Where is our next step to make that happen?
I'm sure that Dwight has the best answer for this question. Unfortunately, I have never run into a situation such as this, so I don't really know how to respond to that here in New Brunswick. Sorry.
Violet?
I think you'll find he's not.
Holdbacks?
Sorry.
I think you'll find he's not gonna get building permits.
So there are several steps that the town does take, and one of them is to secure the bond that was in place for the subdivision. Through that, we notify the developer that he is going to be aware that we're going to take the bond. We notify the bank basically cashes in the bond and delivers a check to the town. That's after we've given them notice and sufficient time to do this. And as for Andrew Toole's comment, you're right, we can hold permits from being issued in any of the subdivisions right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Violet. Any other question, Brent?
So my question, I guess, what is the list of deficiencies at the town? Do we know what the deficiencies are? Like, we're just saying deficiencies, like, what, if you,
It's not part of this, wouldn't be part of this anyway, right? Part of this wording? Would it be? Why? We would just be say deficiencies have to be completed, right? Because we can still approve that. You still, this has nothing to do with approving, this has nothing to do with him completing the deficiencies at all. We're doing both the path and the allowance of the,
So why should we approve the variance if the deficiencies are not corrected?
I mean, deficiencies, I don't think the trail's built yet, is it? Because the reason I'm asking that is because last time I was there, which was last fall, it still had barricades at both ends of it.
Yeah, no, it's done now, like whatever date's on that plan, it was like 2 days before that they finished building it, because that plan is based on where it's physically built.
Okay.
But the majority of the deficiencies are cracked sidewalk and cracked curb. There were several sanitary ones that I hammered on him really hard and managed to get fixed. These ones, it's like pushing a rope to get fixed. He wants to do it when he's done phase 2, because he's cracking curbs all day, every time he builds a house. But he's supposed to do it.
Okay.
thanks. Any further questions for the applicant? None being, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Third and final time. Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being, member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions. Kendall.
I recommend the planning advisory committee support the acceptance of the land set aside for LDP
Is your mic up? Volume? It's on, not plugged in?
Two lights on. You gotta
Just
mute it.
loud enough from top loud?
No,
Mute it.
there's one button, that one. There you go.
Should I repeat number one? Okay. Recommend the Planning Advisory Committee support the acceptance of the land set aside for LPP and recommend approval of the plan. And number two, the Planning Advisory Committee I recommend the Planning Advisory Committee grant the following three variances for lot 21. A 3.33 meter wide variance, a 3.23 meter depth variance, and a 213 square meter lot area variance.
Thanks, Kendall. Can we have a seconder on that? No seconder? Opens debate. We need a seconder. You don't have to necessarily agree with the motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Brent?
I'll second it so we can go to debate.
Thank you, Brent. Any debate on the motion? Brent?
Mr. Chairman, can we make item 2 subject to deficiencies being addressed with the town of Quispamsis? So can we make number 2 subject to the deficiencies being addressed by the developer with the town of Quispamsis? So basically, he doesn't get his approval until he addresses the deficiencies.
I believe we can do that.
You should clarify what deficiencies.
Yeah.
Because there's also deficiencies in phase 2.
I know, once the ball starts rolling, it's rolling. Are they the same, basically the same type of deficiencies, Andrew, with the?
We can just say all outstanding deficiency be completed prior to approval.
That would work.
Addressed.
Phase 1 and 2, yeah.
Kendall? Okay,
I'm comfortable with that.
all right. So Violet, that would be, item 2 would be all outstanding deficiencies be completed within phase 1 and 2. Then recommendation 3 would be Planning Advisory Committee grant the following 3 variances. That's the motion that would be in place. Go ahead.
No, Mr. Chairman, but you've said it's basically lines, or motion, 2 and 3 are combined into one. It's, the Planning Advisory Committee grants the following variances subject to the discrepancies being addressed in.
All discrepancies, all
Deficiencies or discrepancies
phase-
have to be addressed in phase 1 and 2 prior to the variances being granted.
Darren Bishop.
Yeah, I guess deficiencies be addressed, not completed. So as long as they're addressed with the town and the town's good with that, that's fine. But they do not have to be completed. They just need to be addressed to the town's approval. Yeah.
Thank you. So Violet, is there any way you can read that, Violet, back, so we make sure that we got that correct?
Planning Advisory Committee grant the following 3 variances to lot 21, subject to all outstanding deficiencies being addressed within phase 1 and 2.
Town satisfaction?
To the satisfaction of
Town staff.
town staff. That way that includes engineering and development.
You okay, Brent? All right. All right, everyone, any further debate? All right, can we have a vote on that, please? The amended motion has been carried by unanimously. You'll have a letter in the mail next 5 to 7 business days. Please work with the town and the developer to make sure all deficiencies are addressed in phase 1 and 2 as per the town, as per the motion. Best of luck.
You have a fun meeting tomorrow morning, don't you?
Pushing a rope. It's just ridiculous.
All right, next item is Carson Hills Estate Phase 2A Tentative Plan, Subdivision Plan, PID 00230649, creation of 2 building lots. Mr. Toole's already here, so Jennifer, can you introduce that item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, this is for the creation of 2 building lots. And it is located in the rural, so the provisions of 25K of zoning bylaw 38 are applicable for the lot configurations. A review of the proposed tentative plan revealed that the configurations will not require any variances, that they meet all the requirements of the zoning bylaw. Carson Hill Estates Subdivision Phase 2A, the creation of 2 building lots and extension of Cranberry Avenue by 111.3 meters. So it is a public street, and we'll also be looking at the creation of public utility easements along the front of the properties. So the lots will be, are proposed to be sanitary sewerage serviced. They will be serviced, by on-site septic. I can't read tonight. And the water will be, potable water will be provided by drilled wells. Because this is an application to create just 2 lots, there is no requirement for an abbreviated water source study. However, the overall conception of the, or parcel of land can accommodate 25 plus lots. So staff are recommending that any further subdivision of the parent PID would require a comprehensive source and supply water assessment to ensure that the overall land can support what development is potential. LPP obligations for this phase will be met through a land dedication for the purpose of a pedestrian trail that is to be constructed in subsequent phases of the Carson Hill Estate development. The proposed trail development in the area will provide a connection between Hammond River Road and Model Farm Road, utilizing a portion of Old Lambs Ferry Road, which is a public right-of-way. The planning department is recommending that plans to fulfill the LP obligations be finalized before finalizing any further subdivision of the parent PID. So anything after this. We have no concerns at this time, as there are no variances required. Notice to property owners was not required either. And all that is left now is recommendations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. Mr. Toole, you received the same package we did in the mail. Is anything you'd like to add or discuss, or heard any comments, questions? Anyone have any questions for Mr. Toole? Brent?
I guess my main question is not so much the building lots today, but the building lots as this subdivision gets built out is tying into your to the property developer adjacent to you. And I know a few months ago there was a conversation in this same room basically.
Yeah. So that's all resolved. Like this concept matches their street.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah. And we've submitted engineering drawings for the whole thing. The holdup so far has been the storm pond downstream getting permission, and we have the permission, so he's rolling ahead with the rest of it, but he wants to get these 2 lots done early.
Okay, thank you.
Next summer, we'll see
Okay.
the rest of it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, Andrew. Any further questions for the applicant? None being, is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? Is there anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being. For third and final time, anyone in the audience willing to speak for or against this item? None being. Would some member of PAC like to put a motion for or against with terms and conditions? Mr. Bishop.
I'll put a motion forward that PAC approve the Carson Hills Estate Phase 2A tentative subdivision plan, proposing the creation of 2 new single-family building lots, the extension of Cranberry Avenue, and the creation of a 5-meter public utility easement, subject to the following terms and conditions. 1, the street design and names are indicated on the plans. 2, the LPP is satisfied through land dedication and not through cash in lieu.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Any other conditions are normal. So anyone have, can we have a seconder on that, please? Mr. Goslin.
Second.
Right, any debate on the motion? None being, can we have a vote, please? Motion carried unanimously by a vote of 4-0. You have your paperwork in the mail next 5 to 7 business days. Please work with the town to have all your documentation signed, and good, best of luck. You're welcome. Thank you. Item 8, information items and discussion items. Can I have a motion to receive and file, please?
So
Brent?
moved.
Can I have a seconder on that? Kendall?
I'll second it.
All right, can we have a vote on that, please? Motion carried unanimously. Move on to item number 9. Can we have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Bishop?
So moved.
Have a seconder on that, please. Mr. Goslin?
Second.
Thank you.